The other side said we're too radical. Because we believe everybody should have access to health care.
Because we think one job should be enough to pay your bills.
Because no one's future should be determined by a zip code.
We're called too radical because
we don't want to be shot dead by police.
Because we believe making a profit out of caging people is wrong.
We're too radical because we want our public schools funded. Because we want to learn our true history.
They call us radical because we think voting is a basic human right.
Because we were born to immigrant parents.
Because we are immigrants.
They say we're too radical because
we want an end to war.
We want to be safe.
Because we want to be free.
And if wanting basic rights makes us too radical,
I'll be that.
I do that. I'm so sorry. That mute button matters. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, we are hosting this week's Candidate Forum. It is a week-long affair that we get an opportunity to speak with the various candidates running for office here in our local community. So big shout out to everyone who really took that big step to come out and just say that they want to help improve the way of life that we have here in Tallahassee. So we always like to give them some recommendation or some love, really just showing love on them just for having the heart to want to serve. So regardless if they make it into office or not, thank you. This evening, we have the pleasure to speak with the Leon County School Board, those running for Leon County School Board District 1. I hope you guys enjoyed those questions that was asked before. I'm going to first introduce Miss Marianne Arbalou. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. And I also am going to introduce Miss Alva Strickland. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us. Love the intro. Love the questions. That was so fun.
I noticed that there was one that was wrong. Miss Arbalou, I saw your face. Which one was it?
Well, so we are let's talk. This is a great question because a lot of people don't understand the difference. So Leon County Schools is broken into 5 districts. You're right, but those are school board seats. So we're not superintendents. We're school board members.
Yep.
And we have one superintendent, Rocky Hanna, and he is elected. So we're not school board superintendents. It'd be super cool if we were, but we're not. And fun factoid, Leon County Schools, the region of Tallahassee, also Florida State University has their own school, and so does FAMU DRS, and they are actually their own district. So it's the kind of a really unusual situation. They're not under us. So there's a lot of nuances, but you did a great job. I thought they were wonderful.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. But there was one question where the answer was wrong. Go ahead, Ms. Arbalou.
Well, I was going to add to this that it's important for everyone, the voters, to know that our school districts are not the same as our county commission districts. So you can live for example, live in school board district 1, but my county commissioner is in county commission 4. So it's important for people to know that.
Very true.
Yeah. That's good. That's actually important to know. And I'm glad we're having this dialogue because I wanted to kind of switch things up. I know yesterday we started with the House representatives and asked a lot of questions. And I noticed that is in most forums, it's question, answer, as if you're in a job interview. And it kind of does a disservice for us, the people, because we still aren't clear at the end of the day who this individual is. And that's what's most important for us. We want to know who the individuals are that we are seeking to vote for and who we're wanting to support. So I'm hoping today we can just continue this on. Of course, questions are going to be brought up, but I do want to give the floor more to you guys, where you guys can give us a idea of where your stances are and the way you feel, what are, the things that you're supporting. So with that said, I'd like to start with you, Ms. Striplin. If you can share with us, why is it that you're running and what is it that you're looking to accomplish?
Absolutely. So I am the incumbent, which means I am currently serving in that role. Was elected originally in 2014, so I was a classroom teacher before that. Prior to that, I was actually a Leon County School student. Went to Kate Sullivan Raw in Lincoln. Go Trojans! I'm a Florida State graduate. And then I became, after I had 3 children of my own, I became a classroom volunteer. So I'm originally a business major. This was not my original calling. I tell people, young people like yourselves, you never know where life is going to take you, but every path leads to the next. And it definitely did for me. So that role as classroom volunteer just really spurred my interest and love for the classroom, and I got to see the importance of teachers in the roles of the lives of their children. So became a teacher, taught for 5 years middle school math and loved it, and then just wanted to be part of the bigger picture. So ran for office in 2014 and was elected right out of the classroom. So went to school on Monday, was elected on Tuesday, and I went in and my little ones were hugging me on Wednesday. They were so sad. I still have the picture they made me on my office wall. We love you, Ms. Striplin, and their well wishes. So as hard as it was to leave the classroom, I just felt like I had a bigger calling. I wanted to be that voice for teachers, and I have been. So since 2014, we've raised teacher salaries, we've raised staff salaries, we've really increased our financial stability in this district. We have continued academic success, and more importantly, we really steered our district in the right direction during such a tough time during the pandemic. We kept our classrooms open. We offered virtual options. We offered digital options. We offered blended options. And it was just a really challenging time. So I'm so proud to have been leading this district during that time. So I'm up for re-election this year and hope with your support that I'll serve 4 more years.
Thank you, Ms. Striplin. I really appreciate that. So with that said, Ms. Arbalou, something can't be perfect. Ms. Striplin said a lot of great things. And yes, being a parent here in this community, I can see that there has been a lot that was offered here in our communities. But, what is it, Ms. Arbalou, that you feel that you could bring and that you want to change, where they may be falling short and you feel like that you're going to be able to improve?
Thank you. Thank you, AJ. Well, I'm Dr. Marian Arbalou, and a candidate for School Board District 1. And first, I want to thank community builders and Dream Defenders for having this forum. It's important for everyone to be able to connect with all the candidates. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. A couple of interesting things. When my 2 youngest children graduated, one from Rickards IB and the other one from Florida High, and they were both on the FSU campus getting their bachelor's, I entered FSU at that same time to get my undergrad. So the 3 of us were on campus at the same time, which was pretty cool, actually. But I never had lunch money because I always took my lunch money. I owned a business here in Tallahassee for 10 years. And was in the private sector and finance for almost 40 years before I gravitated to the public sector, where I worked for several state agencies and ended up moving to Monticello with my family, where I was a school board member. I was elected to the school board at a time when it was, again, under duress, and was elected to help turn that district around. I left that seat to run for school board. Didn't make that first run, but I did. I was elected the second go around, again at a moment of severe financial distress. So I inherited a second financial emergency in that district. And also at that time, the state decided it was in the best interest of the district to charterize all the schools. So I was challenged with bringing up the school budget, which I did, and overseeing the charter organization manage our school district. And it was quite challenging. As we know, their efforts were not fruitful. However, back to Leon County, this district is experiencing academic and financial declines. I was just reading a DOE memo that came out this evening. 15 of our 22 elementary schools, 68% of our elementary schools are going to get additional support from the state because they are lacking in reading. So 50% or more of the students did not make that grade 3. That's a big number. That's not acceptable. And so as your school board member, I have a couple of things that I want to work on. Number one, the tax dollars. We need to improve our use of our tax dollars and make sure that we're spending every dollar properly so that we don't have to impose any additional tax increases. I want to increase experiential learning for our students because we know that kids learn better when they're busy doing, when they're active doing. I want to create more entrepreneurial programs where students can actually learn about business and not just learn how to get a job, but can become job creators. Wealth in this country comes not from working as an employee, but business startups. And I think that's an area where a lot of our students could benefit. I believe in being transparent and accountable. Constituent voice matters, and I think we need to do some rebuilding of trust in that area. And lastly, I will advocate for better salary and career initiatives for all staff, but particularly for our teachers, where we have a nationwide deficit of teachers, and it's an area that we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to. So I think it's a critical time for the district. I hope that my skills will bring added value to the district, and that's why I'm running.
Thank you. Thank you. So I don't know. It just seems like, because Ms. Stripling, you said confidently all that you all have been achieved. And then Ms. Arbalou, Dr. Arbalou comes and shares ways that she wants to improve what it sounds like you guys have achieved. So there seems to be a disconnect here. Can any one of you clarify where that might be? I'll start with you, Ms. Stripling.
Yeah, we have done amazing things over the past 8 years, and I know the facts. Unfortunately, Ms. Arbalou has difficulty reading a financial statement, so she really struggles to understand, and I think that shows with the devastation that while she was on the board in Jefferson County, unfortunately, they were in such financial distress that got turned over to the state. We have never had that in Leon County, and we don't want that in Leon County. We are very capable. We have an unbelievable team and district, and I urge Ms. Arbalou really to reach out to our CFO and clarify some of those misconceptions, because they can be really dangerous when you speak untruths to the public. So you can look at our audits. We are flawless. I won't say flawless. Everyone has flaws, but we are a AA rated districts, which means that our financial stability is super high. We could borrow money at a low rate at any time we desired. However, we don't, because we want to pay down the debt that we have and live within our means, because we know our district is declining in its enrollment. Now, some of that is because we don't have a beach. So that sounds really funny, but people are flocking to the state of Florida during the pandemic, and they're going coastal. So while a lot of districts are growing, we're not. We are landlocked here. We don't have sand and salt water. We wish we did, but we don't. But we do have a great school system here, and we do have a wonderful state government opportunities for people that want to work in state government. So we attract those families, but possibly we're not experiencing the growth that other districts are. But we have implemented unbelievable safety measures in our district. We have implemented mass notification systems, security gates and guards. We have in place over 100 law enforcement officers and mental wellness counselors since I've been on the board. And I've been a big advocate for this is not just about the safety of our students, which we know is an area of concern nationwide. This is about their mental wellness. This is about what is challenging them at home that's creating these issues in the classroom. And we know, I know specifically because I was in the classroom. I had a student come in with a black eye one day, and when I asked him, what happened? And he said, he told me what happened. And it just weighed heavy on my heart that he was experiencing this in his home and yet was trying to come to school and be academically successful. And these are the challenges that our students face. And if you haven't taught in this district, sorry, that's my dog's running. If you haven't taught in this district and understand the issues in this district, it's really hard to address those concerns. And I think we've done a really good job at that. We surround our students with the additional supports that they need. And every school is unique. We have a large district, almost 32,000 students, very unlike the district that Ms. Arbalou comes from. They're tiny. Some of our schools are larger than that district. So we have vast need, and we have done a great job. Our board is very diverse. We come from all walks of life, and we offer that perspective. Most importantly, I will say we kept our schools open during the pandemic. That's one of the things I'm most proud about, is we gave every parent, every family the option that works for them. So we're doing good. We need to keep on this track.
Okay, awesome. Now I'm gonna actually your last statement.
May I rebut a couple of things here that Ms.
Well,
Strickland?
just 1 second before we get there, because I know that we're about to go into some questioning, and I know they're going to be heavy questions. But I do want to make it fair, because we're only here for 55 minutes and then going on to District 3. So just to make it fair, so everyone have their opportunity to share, I do want to just say one housekeeping rule. There will be a point where I will see me put my finger up, and that's just to indicate for you that the time is winding down and I need you to bring your points in. I should have said that at first, but I got it now. But yes, so I'll just give you 30 seconds to rebuttal, Ms. Arbalou, and your last statement, Ms. Strickland, kind of leads into my next question about some of the challenges that we are facing here in Leon County. But Ms. Arbalou, you can take it away.
Okay, thanks. So Ms. Strickland's criticisms of my math, I want to point out that in the Leon County School District's audit for year ending June 30, 2021, first of all, there was in every audit, there's what we call a financial highlights page, all right? And it is probably the second or third page in the audit, and it is a summation of all of the critical activities of the district for the year, all right? And there's a glaring error in the revenue line of the financial highlights. I mean, not one number wrong, the whole number is wrong. And it amazes me that this passed the board, because the board has to approve this document before it goes to the state. And I pulled it down from the state's website. So when Ms. Strickland talks about having a good handle on the numbers, obviously not, because we missed this never should have been processed this way and sent up to the state. The second thing.
So are you saying that the numbers that you calculate is not your numbers, but it's the audit's number?
Oh, the auditor put the wrong number in, and obviously the CFO didn't catch it, the superintendent didn't catch it, none of the board members caught it, and that's how it went to the state. And so that's an oversight, kind of a big oversight, but an oversight. Also on that same page, it talks about the unassigned fund balance being 18% for that year ending 2021. And the budget that was just processed or presented to the board shows the general fund balance at 3.24%. So these are not my calculations. These are coming from the district to the board. And definitely there's a decline in the fund balance. There's no question about that from one year to the next. So,
okay. Well, thank you for that, Ms. Arbalou. But my next question I do want to ask is the district. Can you give us, and this question I'm going to start with Dr. Arbalou, excuse me. If you can tell me where is District 1's boundary lines? Can you explain what those boundary lines are and give us what schools are you aware are in that district?
Sure. So generally, and let me get my little list here. So generally, the boundary lines are the eastern side of Thomasville from the state line down to just past Midtown. And it actually extends past Thomasville Road over to, I want to say Duval, I believe, down as we get in closer downtown. And on the eastern side, we go all the way to Lake Miccosukee, and to the south, we're down to Mahan, and then also I-10 at one portion. So it's kind of a big triangle that covers the northeastern section of the county.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as our schools, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 elementaries: DeSoto, Trail, Roberts, W.T. Moore, Kate Sullivan; 2 middle schools: Elizabeth Cobb, Montford, and Leon High in the district.
Okay. And Ms. Strickland, you're shaking your head. So are those schools not in that district? Or
Yes, those schools are in that district. Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And are there any schools she might have missed?
No, she did not miss any.
Okay.
She did a good job.
I saw you shaking your head like, wait. Okay. Now,
So what a fun factoid, the Capitol building is in our district. So our district runs from I tell people, from downtown to the county line, all the way in between Thomasville and Miccosukee. We contain Midtown, Killearn, Benton, Shimoni Crossing, Miccosukee Co-op. We have a super diverse district. W.T. Moore is not a Title I school, but has a very diverse population and is bordering on Title I. So we do have a school in our district that has needs that people sometimes overlook. They think the North Side, they have a certain stereotype of what's in our district, but W.T. Moore is really a special school. And because of Welaunee, because the growth, everybody kind of in Tallahassee knows that area between Centerville Road and Miccosukee, they're developing hundreds and hundreds of acres for a new neighborhood in there. And it's really going to change the makeup of some of our schools. And we see vast numbers of populations of people gravitating toward this area because of that development. So we're going to see a lot of change in this area over the years, in the years to come.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that leads to my next question. I know that, as we mentioned, this District 1, it encompasses most of the northeast side of town. And the northeast is made up more of the more middle, upper, and more affluent residents of Tallahassee. What are you all's thoughts for diversity? How do you guys plan on including diversity, if you have any plans for including diversity in this region? I'll start with you, Dr. Arbalou.
No, I really don't have plans in terms of the makeup, because I believe that's a function of the community preferences. The more southern schools, W.T. Moore and Elizabeth Cobb Middle and Kate Sullivan, have a higher percentage of minorities, but I don't know how to make those things change.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that's within our grasp, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, Ms. Strickland, how about you? Do you have?
Yeah. So being from this community and more involved in the community, I've been a member of Leadership Tallahassee. I ran a nonprofit in this community. I've sat on the Value Adjustment Board. I've been on several boards here locally. So if you are involved in this community, you do understand there is some impact we can make. And one of the things that we really strive for is affordable housing within the Welaunee development. We want to try to attract diversity to the side of town. And the only way we can do that is by inclusive housing. And so that developer has been very proactive in trying to include affordable housing, apartment complexes, all ends within Welaunee. They're not developing just a completely upper end $1 million home sites over that entire plot of land. And that's one of the things, if you're really a true long-term resident of Leon County, like I have been, you're involved in those discussions and involved in roundabout discussions, the safety of our children, the connections, the roadways. I've sat on the CRTPA for a year and understood about traffic patterns in our community and how the growth of our schools and sidewalks and how that really affects our children and our families. So so we can try things, but we can't tell people where to live, but we can offer things. Again, W.T. Moore is a great example of offering programming that is a world-class situation. They have a magnet program there, and they're really trying to get it accredited that they offer their students a glimpse of students in classrooms around the world. So it's a really cool concept. And that's something that we try to offer in some of our schools to get other students to come from different areas and increase the diversity in some of our schools. So we can address some of those things, and we do our best. We have implemented a few things to try to grab people from different sides of town.
Thank you. And so I appreciate that statement. And it sounds like there are future plans for diversity in these regions. Again, for those who now tuning in, we're talking with the members looking to be a part of the Leon County School Board in District 1. And District 1 encompasses the areas of the northeast side of town. And so it's a lot of families that are moving from the south sides of town, from the Frenchtown areas, who are graduating from colleges or getting jobs that are leading them to these northeast side of towns, and becoming more successful in their businesses and so forth. And so they're more eager to live in areas that have access to many amenities. The northeast side of town has a lot more amenities than probably any other sides of town in Tallahassee. So it does make sense for a lot of families to feel like it's a better fit for them to live in these areas. But with their children going to these schools, my next question would be about bullying. I mean, right now we know that these schools are not as diverse as they, as we as they're going to be, sounds like. But when they are coming into these areas, what plans do you have to deal with students that may be facing bullying, especially when it comes to things like race?
We see bullying. It's not necessarily about race. It's not necessarily about socioeconomic status. It's not necessarily about your home situation or what your house looks like. We see bullying in all walks of life. And believe it or not, some of the more affluent schools have some of the worst bullying problems, to be honest with you. Social media has created a real emotional challenge for our students and a challenge for our school districts, because we can't control what students do outside of a school day and outside of our school campuses. So when they go home and they start bullying a child over social media, it is really difficult for the school district to get involved in those, in those interactions between children. So what we can do is implement programming at our school, and we've engaged with Disc Village, with the Trevor Project. We have implemented social emotional learning programs within our school districts that help students talk about their feelings in more productive ways. But I think one of the most effective things we can do with our students, and we had a pilot program at Mumford that I brought in, was peer-to-peer groups. Our students getting together and sharing with each other, and possibly an older student to a group of younger students, that, hey, I experienced what you experienced. I hated coming to the lunchroom in 6th grade, or I really struggled being on the bus every day. I just didn't enjoy that because so-and-so was mean to me. And it really helps our younger students know, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. This super cool person that is in 8th grade experienced the same thing. And when I taught middle school, we had these discussions in my classroom, and it was really impactful to hear students have that peer-to-peer support. So these are things that I think we need to increase in our schools. Obviously, we've increased the mental wellness counselors. We all think of guidance counselors. Go to guidance. Well, guidance counselors, traditionally, they're academic counselors. They're really there to tell you, this is how you get to that next step in your life, whatever that may be. But we have implemented more than 100 mental wellness counselors in our district, at least one in every school that is there for those students and can say, hey, come talk to me, or a teacher can refer them on. Yeah, it's a big difference than it was when I was in school. So
now I hear you, Miss Strickland, but I know some 8th graders. And I mean, I think you guys are going to have a higher demand trying to get these students to actually be peer-to-peer and encourage 6th graders. So I mean, I don't know.
But they're there.
That program would be effective. I'm sorry, I got you, Miss Dr. Arblue. I'm gonna take it to you next. Do you really think stuff like that would actually be effective?
I do. I think that Leon had a sticker wall where the kids, they do their Post-it notes, and this is what I'm concerned about. And they went and stuck them on the wall, and kids ended up actually being friends with each other out of this, finding out that, oh my gosh, you're concerned about the same thing I am. I'm not saying it's going to fix everybody's problem, but let's try it. Let's try something new and different. Peer review programs have proven successful around the country. And I think it's something that, I wanted to look at. So I had a pilot program implemented in Mumford.
I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so you said there was a pilot program implemented at Mumford.
Yep.
Okay, so it's going on. Okay, good to hear. All right, so Dr. Arbalu, I want to take that question back to you. Did you have anything in your plans to deal with bullying in these communities?
Well, there are statutes that deal with bullying that really prescribe what schools and school leaders are supposed to do and how to notify parents. So there's a very prescribed outline of how this should be handled. But I do believe that I think students, if you give them the opportunity to self-regulate, they will do that and if you can get them involved in the disciplinary process, where they can take ownership of it and make it the way they see and actually participate in enforcing discipline, even in a classroom. We see that working, and it is, but the bullying piece, it's the definition. And a lot of time parents don't even realize, they'll complain that their child is getting bullied, and you have to really sit down with a parent and explain to them, okay, here's the state's definition of bullying. Here are your options. There are particular parental notifications that have to go out. So it is a problem. In the reporting for Leon County, it is not reported as a very big problem to the state in the assessor reporting that I saw. So I don't know if that's a function of there just isn't that much bullying going on in Leon County schools, or the reporting is not accurate, and I'm not sure which that is, to be honest.
Well, to be honest, Dr. Arbalu, one bullying is one too much. So
I agree.
Regardless of what the reports say, it's still, I think, imperative that we have a plan to help our students, because as you may have noticed, a lot of times the school shooters are oftentimes the students that grew up being bullied. So that's not something that we ever want to, just say, well, that's just culture. That's how it is. We want to be able to be prepared for stuff like that.
RJ, let me interject this also.
Yeah.
Part of, and I'm glad you brought up the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas event, but part of what's supposed to be happening on campus when there is any kind of event reported is that staff are supposed to conduct a behavioral threat assessment. Mm-hmm. And those are the kind of things that are analyzed, documented, and at some point will be shared statewide. I don't know how the state's going to get to that yet, but they haven't figured out how to do that yet. But the point is, every incident like that needs to be analyzed in terms of threat, right? And that's one of the things that I will look at as a school board member once I'm privy to the school safety plan, which I'm not at this point.
Thank you. Now, I thank you for that feedback. But I want to go into another question. Again, in District 1, there's a lot of division, a lot of people that they're stuck to their traditional values. And so they're not always as welcoming when we have people entering into our community. However, not realizing that Tallahassee is kind of like a hub for the whole state. We have people from all over the world that somehow find their way here to Tallahassee and may end up in these Northeast sections. And so when you're dealing with those who are not original Americans, what are some things that you have in place? This question is for you, Ms. Strickland. What are some things that you guys have in place or plan to have in place to accommodate those folks coming? So I want to point out that some of these situations where they are living in the Northeast section because there is a host family that is allowing them to live there. So what are some things about that? Are you going to be able to accommodate those children who are not even American or are not familiar with American culture coming to the community, and they're, being treated like an outsider? How do you plan on handling it? Are there, sorry, so I know this is a long question, but I want to make sure that it's clear. Academics wise is what I mean, from the teachers, that they're not casting these students out and they're actually learning.
Oh, first of all, I think I'm not sure. I would disagree with you a little bit on District 1. I think we're a very welcoming community. I think that we have incredible teachers, and it really, sometimes it speaks to, if you look at how many years of service they've been in the classroom, they're truly dedicated to Leon County and to the students that they have. So I think our teachers do an amazing job of trying to include students and trying to offer something for everything. Childs offers one of the most diverse programming academically that you've seen in our entire district. And we need to make sure that we offer some of those trade programs and certifications and shop class. We need to offer those at Childs. We need to have those extensions for every school, every student, regardless of their, where they see their future going. But I think that District 1 is a very welcoming place. I know that I've seen in our classrooms our teachers offering supports. I think we offer something for everyone academically. We're there to reach out to every student and meet them where they are at their level. I know when I taught at Deer Lake, which is not in Deer Lake, it's not in District 1, but it's off to the side of it. I taught Title I students. I taught academically FSA. Oh, the FSA we had, at the time, they were level 1 students. I taught the lowest level learners, struggling academically. And I would take them out to the basketball court. We shot free throws one day to talk about percentages. So those are the kinds of students we see out of the classroom, trying to engage every student at every level and offer them academic guidance to lead to their success. I think we do a great job in District 1.
Okay. And I want to ask you now about parents who are pretty passionate about their students. I know for a lot of African American parents, a lot of times they may get a side of the story, or they get, they may feel like things might be unfair, and they might feel the need to have to challenge leadership on campus. Have you experienced stuff like that? And if you have, can you kind of explain to us how you handled it?
Absolutely. We see challenges and unhappiness and feelings of unfairness from all of our parents. It's not just minority parents, Black and brown parents. It is every parent, that if they have a concern, they need to bring that to administration. And if they don't feel they're getting treated fairly, then they need to reach out either to their school board member or to district staff. And we don't always, as a school board member, I don't have the answers, but I can find out. I can find out what's going on, that you feel like you've been treated unfairly. And we have seen that in our district. I don't want to name anything specifically because that's very harmful to people emotionally and on a personal level, but we absolutely have seen it. And those administrators need to tackle those problems, or if it's with an administrator, the district needs to tackle those problems. We're here to serve every student, regardless of what they look like, and no parent should feel that their complaint or their concern is cast aside. That's unforgivable.
So you're saying that when parents come, and I mean, I know that of course there's always a parent from any race. It doesn't matter, but I kind of want to make sure that it's clear that I am asking as an advocate for African American parents.
Okay.
Because in but in District 1 area, they do face a lot more, like they'll get a lot more challenges in this region than they may in, let's say like the Northwest side of town. And so when they come with their concerns, is it that is it dismissed? Is there a protocol actually? Well, I don't think that it would be dismissed, of course, but strategy for that.
I've never heard in my time on the board in 7 years, I have never had an African American parent come to me from District 1 and say, I feel like I was treated unfairly because of the color of my skin. Okay. And if they did say that, I would want to know why, and we would follow up on that, because that's not tolerable in this district, in District 1 or in Leon County schools, anywhere. All of our parents should be treated equally and fairly, and everyone's concerns about their children should be taken under consideration. I had a concern about a child when I have 6 kids now, and one of mine I felt was being treated very unfairly, and I went to the school and I sobbed and begged for her to be moved to a different class because I thought she was really being targeted, and I was told no, and it devastated me. So I think as a parent, first of all, you want to be heard. You want someone to hear your concerns and validate them, and I hope that's what we do in District 1. And if we don't, someone please email me. We'll see what we can do.
Good to know.
RJ.
I'll make
Oh,
sure we get your email on there. Yes, Dr. Arbalu, I wanted
Yes.
to ask you, while you were in Monticello working as a school board member, did you ever did you ever deal with anything specifically from African American parents? Have you ever dealt with any parents challenge you all in leadership, and how did you handle that?
We had a lot of challenges in that school district, and of course, the Jefferson County School District is majority minority, and it was especially difficult during the transition from traditional school to charter. But I'm proud to tell you that my door was open from the point where I was a school board member or superintendent. I had parents coming to the district, and we were just a 2-person district. Once the transition was there, we had to handle everything with 2 people. But parents would come to the district, and every parent got our time and our attention, and we worked through their problems. And I think that's one of the things that I've been stressing in this campaign is my access. Anyone can access me, find me, call me, and they are emailing and calling. But when you have a problem, because often a school board member can't really directly solve a problem, you've got to refer it to an administrator and kind of go through the hierarchy. But you need to follow up and make sure that that problem was resolved and not just hand it off and assume it's been taken care of. Okay. Sometimes it isn't. And so that's one of the things that is a kind of a sticky point for me following up.
Dr. Arbalu, do you believe teachers should carry guns in the classroom?
No, I don't.
Okay.
And I will tell you this goes back. I was the most responsible person in the district in Jefferson as for school safety. I was certified as the district safety officer by the state, and we worked very closely with our sheriff's office and with the charter school administration. And we did not. And my sheriff was pretty open in terms of his lack of support for both the Guardian program and for teachers having weapons. And I agreed with him. And so we had neither the Guardian program or would we put teachers, armed teachers in the classroom.
Are you licensed to carry?
Am I? No, I have a spouse that is, but I am not. No.
Gotcha. Ms. Strickland, the question's to you as well. Do you believe teachers should carry guns in the classroom?
No.
Are you licensed to carry?
I am not.
Okay.
I am not. We have a deer rifle, I believe, in the house, but I don't think it's been shot in 10 years because it was my son's, and he doesn't live here anymore. So no.
Okay. All right. So the next, we are kind of winding down, so I want to make sure I get these important points in as well. So just try to be as brief as you can with your answers coming up. But this next question is coming from the audience, and they're interested to know, with the rise of COVID and monkeypox, do you believe students coming back to classes should be wearing masks? Oh, I'm sorry. That is going to be for you, Ms. Strickland.
I believe that our governor has issued a law in our state, and he is the governor, and we try to adhere to law and follow his leadership when we like it or don't. But I do believe that every student has a right, every family has a right. If you feel you want to wear a mask, please wear a mask. And if you feel you do not want to wear a mask, you have the right not to do that.
Okay. And you, Dr. Arbalu, do you think that they should be wearing masks when they're coming back to classes?
I would refer to the parents' preference on that. So some parents are going to want their students to wear a mask, and some are not going to want their students to wear a mask. And so we're going to abide by the law and give the parents the option.
Okay. So do you all, and I'll ask you this question first, Dr. Arbalou, believe that there should be more funding added to safety protocol. Do you think that in Leon County we need more money in those budgets?
Well, okay. The state and the school safety budgets are pretty well prescribed via Marjorie Stoneman Douglas and the laws that have been implemented to cover things like sheriff salaries and mental health counselors and hardening. I did a lot of grants. I worked through grants in Jefferson so that we hardened our schools. So they had good, window coverings that would protect the students. Not knowing, again, because school safety plans are not discussed in public, they're really done in executive settings. I don't know the makeup of Leon's school plan at this point. So it's hard for me to gauge whether they have sufficient funding or not. I won't know till I see it, and then I would be able to make a determination.
Okay, same question to you, Ms. Strickland. Do you think that there's a need for more money for safety protocols?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The more money you give us, the more we will spend it well, and we will spend it responsibly. We will add more officers. We will add more hardening. We have some really old facilities in our school district, and some of them take a lot more money to provide safety measures than others. Single point of entry is really difficult for some of our schools. Some of our schools, like Leon High School, is completely surrounded by parking all over the place, and it's hard to get a fence in there. So yeah, absolutely. We take all the money we can get, and we will spend it wisely.
Okay, thank you. So I wanted to ask us, there are some teachers that was wanting to know that they've been advocating for getting paid every 2 weeks instead of monthly. Do you think you can help teachers get that? Is that something you guys have been advocating for or would consider advocating for?
I have never heard that, but I will put it on the list. There's absolutely no reason we can't at least inquire, hey, what have we ever looked at this, and why not? I'm proud to be endorsed by the Leon County Teachers Association, as well as the Leon Educational Staff Professional Association. 3 years running now, they have endorsed me. So I really listened to their concerns. They posted something the other night. What's the one thing you wish you could change about your school day? And I read all of those comments and really took them to heart. The biggest one I thought was lunch duty. I was like, I remember that. I remember it, and I hated every moment of it. So I am with you on that. But I'm a big advocate for increasing teacher salaries. I'm pushing superintendent hard to get to 47.5 for our base, but not to forget our everyone else. We've got to deal with that compression issue. But hey, this is the first I've heard of every 2 weeks, but consider it on the agenda to be discussed. Again, can't be sure it'll happen, but I'll ask.
Yeah, so it was teachers from Griffin Middle School, which isn't in your district.
That's okay. Shout out Zelina O'Banner. I taught with her at Deer Lake, and she is awesome.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. She was there. That's right. I tried to talk to some of the teachers and ask for some of their concerns to be brought to the table, and that was a good one. I was like,
I love it. I love that. I can't believe I've never heard that.
I'm sure they would enjoy it though.
That's an easy fix too, so it's not a hard fix to do.
That's right. That's right. Dr. Arbalou, while we wind down, can you tell me who are some people that you rely on to get things done?
In what context, my dear?
As you become a school board member, who would be people that you would rely on?
Well, I would say a close relationship with the superintendent is important. Mm-hmm. And district level staff in terms of information and understanding issues from their perspective, and principals of schools. Schools are their domain. So I'd say assistant principals and principals. And at every opportunity, I had the pleasure, last 2 days, I got to take my grandchildren for orientation at Buck Lake, my first grader at Buck Lake and my sixth grader at Swift Creek. And I got to meet their teachers. who were, I have to say, wonderful, and they were excited. And that was really a neat experience to get to meet them. And I think as much as I can be in a school and communicating with staff, the better.
Okay. Ms. Strickland, who are 5 people that you rely heavily on?
Woo, 5 people. All right, I'm going to start with our board attorney, Opal McKinney-Williams. Unbelievable. Everyone should have an attorney they can call at any time and go, hey, can you read this and tell me, is this legal? Is this not legal? What does this wording mean? Because that is not my role, but I love her. Dina McAllister at the school district. I'm a huge fan. She knows more about bargaining and negotiating than with our teachers, with unions, and with the other groups more than anybody I've ever met. And I think she's amazing and always has a smile on her face. Our CFO, Kim Banks, financial advisor extraordinaire, can tell me where every penny is. And I know that she's keeping us financially healthy. So she is my go-to. And my husband. There you go. The end of the day, man, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, family is important. That's good.
Yes,
Good
it
for you.
is.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for being a part. Real quick, Dr. Arbalou, what do you register as? What party are you affiliated with? Political party are you affiliated with?
I have been a Republican forever. I guess my parents must have been Republicans, but yeah, so I've never changed party.
Gotcha. How about you, Ms. Strickland? What party do you?
I'm a Democrat.
You're a Democrat. Okay. So I'm just going to give you guys 30 seconds each to be able to appeal to the people why they should vote for you. And then we'll just say our final goodbyes. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining me this evening and taking the time to talk with our community and share why we should vote, to help us have a better understanding of what we're doing and when we get to the polls. So I'm going to start with you, Ms. Arbalou.
All right. Well, I think people should vote for me because I bring diversity to the board. I have a different lived experience and different skills and different work experience and perspective. I think all of our Leon County schools should offer a world-class education. And while many of our schools do well, a lot of our students are not getting the same level of education, and that's fixable, and we need to be doing it. And I think it's gone on too long. So I take a very holistic view. If anyone wants to reach out to me, my website is mom4schools, the number 4schools.com. So mom4schools.com. And my phone number is 850-528-5758, 528-5758. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Anybody can call me and ask me questions. I'm happy to respond. And please vote for Marian Arbalou on August 23rd. Thank you.
That's right. That's right, everyone. Voting day, the primaries is August 23rd. So don't forget, make sure that you guys are there, that they will be early voting before there. I think it's about 10 days before then. That's right. That's right. So you can vote before then, but at the very least, make sure you make it to the polls August 23rd. Ms. Strickland, take it away.
Thank you. Only candidate that was born and raised in Tallahassee, went to Kate Sullivan Raw and Lincoln, parent of 6, all Leon County School graduates, have a current sophomore at Leon High School. And I'm a former teacher. I'm the only one who's been a former teacher in this district. I have a lifelong dedication to Leon County schools, and we have seen proven success since I've been on the board. I have advocated for teacher raises. I've advocated for staff raises. I've advocated for the mental wellness of our students, and I've listened to parents and teachers over the years. And with your support, I will continue doing that over the next 4 years. Love the suggestion about every 2-week salary. I will absolutely look into that, and cannot believe I haven't heard this one before. Please keep sending your suggestions and keep loving your students, and please keep being a part of Leon County Schools because you're amazing. Teachers are amazing. Our parents are great. I'm so proud to be District 1 rep in this district.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thanks so much for being here. And I wish you all a great evening. Good luck.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. All right, guys. So thanks again for tuning in. But the party doesn't stop here. We did get a chance to speak with District 1 members, those running for school board in District 1. But we are going to continue on after this break. We're going to be talking with those running for District 3. So many of us know Mr. Daryl Jones. He does have a write-in candidate, Herencian Arabian. Maybe we'll get to meet him tonight. We'll see. But Mr. Daryl Jones isn't waiting for us. So we look forward to talking to him and the things that he has planned for us. He is an incumbent, so he has been in office and is experienced. So hopefully this conversation will be more of a dialogue about the things that he's been able to accomplish and look to accomplish. What we do love is people who's already invested in our community. So good news is he is, and we look forward to talking to him soon. Bear with us, then please just continue to stand by, stay tuned, and enjoy a message from one of our sponsors.
The other side said we're too radical. Because we believe everybody should have access to health care.
Because we think one job should be enough to pay your bills.
Because no one's future should be determined by a zip code.
We're called too radical because
We don't want to be shot dead by police.
Because we believe making a profit out of caging people is wrong.
we're too radical because we want our public schools funded. Because we want to learn our true history.
They call us radical because we think voting is a basic human right.
Because we were born to immigrant parents.
Because we are immigrants.
They say we're too radical because we want an end to war.
We want to be safe.
Because we want to be free.
And if wanting basic rights makes us too radical,
I'll be that.
All right. We're back. Thank you all again for tuning in. We just completed the segment to discuss who should be our Leon County School Board member for District 1. For those that don't know, District 1 covers the northeast side of town, between Thomasville all the way out to Monticello, all the way up to Childs, and then down to the capital. So as Ms. Strickland had informed us, so it is a pretty big district. So for those who are in that area, your children go to schools in that area, you're interested in putting your students in that area, that is whoever is voted into District 1 is who you would reach out to. Should you need assistance, of course, their staff is probably the best place to start. But if you can't get anything done, that would be who'd be leading the charge over there. But taking it down to District 3, we have our Mr. Daryl Jones, who is heavily involved in our community. And so it is with great pleasure that I get to bring him on today and to talk with him about some of the plans that he has for District 3. Mr. Jones? Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Welcome. Well, first off, I just want to say thank you for serving this long. Mr. Jones, you wear numerous hats, don't you?
Yes, I do, and I'm honored to do so. First of all, thank you for convening this important conversation, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk with your listeners and viewers. I am an incumbent, and I do have a write-in candidate, but I'm seeing this as an opportunity for me to continue to engage with my district and with voters in my district, that they might, one, know what we have successfully done these last 4 years, and then either through conversation or in questions that may come to us, be able to hear what they have to say. I am no less compelled to not just be the voice, but to be a good voice. You've also got to be a great listener. So thank you for bringing me as a part of this conversation. Even if the write-in candidate does not participate, still I see this as an important exercise that our people might know the persons who's serving their children and their families in our public schools.
That's right. That's right. So again, thank you for serving them. Now, for those that don't know, can you explain to us how what area encompasses District 3?
Well, one, I am the only school board member whose entire school district is entirely composed of Title I schools. So that means all of my schools serve families, what I'd like to describe as working class families. So that stretches all the way from as far west as Fort Braden to Sable Palm to Pineview Elementary School, the historic Bond Elementary School, Oak Ridge Elementary School, and then the R. Frank Nims Middle School and the flagship high school, James S. Rickards High School.
Nice, nice. Now, I didn't hear you say some of the northern Title I schools. So is it just the Title I schools on the south region of the
Just the south side. There are Title I schools in almost every district except the district that you just heard from. District 1 does not have any Title I schools. But one of the things I think is important that we make a distinction of, a school may very well be Title I, but there are Title I children across the district.
That's
children
right.
who come from working class families, and depending upon the nature, nurture, opportunity that may be found, we want to make certain that we meet the needs of all of our children. And I ran as a voice and an advocate for all Title I children, regardless of color, demographic, geography. All children who come from working class families are a particular concern to me, because I know that education is the great salvo to creating opportunity for subsequent generations. And that's why having that type of advocacy from a school board member is so critically important.
Mr. Jones, what would you say
Can I ask
some
you
of
a question right quick?
Yes, sir.
How do I share this conversation in social media, or is it available?
It is sharing on social media. It is available on the Community Builders page. I also have the link. I can drop it for you so that you can be able to post it onto your platforms should you like to. Hold on, let me get that over to you. Oh, our producer's working on it, so she'll make sure she gets that on there for you.
All right.
But yeah, so this is definitely live right now, and I just did a send to matter of fact, let me make it easy for you. Oh man, Mr. Jones would like to share the YouTube link.
It's on YouTube.
It is on YouTube as well as YouTube and Facebook right now. But the YouTube link seems to be easier for people. to access, because not everyone is on social media.
Right.
So YouTube, anyone can log on and follow. So I'd like to ask you, while she works on that.
I want to show that shirt right there.
What shirt is that?
That's
Your background, those virtual backgrounds, they pick up, if your shirt match your background, it does that a lot. Let me get you
let me change my background. Let me get rid of that.
Oh, I just gave you your own shot there. There you go. So if you want to show your shirt, let me get you right. What banner is up?
He's muted.
How did I mute myself? I'm sorry.
That's okay. There you go. So I did want to go ahead and fix this here. Ask you about some of the challenges. You mentioned that majority of the schools that you serve are Title I schools. So
all the schools in my district are Title I.
All your schools. Sorry, that's right.
So that's fourth grade.
Some of the challenges that you deal with that people maybe in District 1 don't deal with.
Well, one of the most important challenges, and that is the preparedness of the children who come to our schools. Our children do not oftentimes come to us kindergarten ready. And we see that when more than 2/3 of our children in the third grade aren't reading at grade level. And that is because they came to us woefully unprepared. And so when I got elected, I joined the superintendent to make certain that we provided resources to ensure that our children came to us better prepared from kindergarten. One of the things that we realized that too many of our early learning providers weren't teaching to particular standards that equipped our children to be ready for the kindergarten classroom. Then a great number of our children weren't enrolled in early learning programs. So when you come into the school system from kindergarten, not having been in a classroom setting, not having had persons who read to you at home, not having been involved in those types of formative activities that prepare a young person, a young child, an early learner for learning, that puts them at great disadvantage. That regrettably, it's almost like you are in a race and you're starting 20 yards behind everybody else who's in the blocks. So that's why it was so critically important that we made purposeful investment in resources to mitigate that challenge. And that's one of the things that separates us. Then you also have the issue of the digital divide. And so when you have families who may have access to technology and cell phones or iPads, if they're not being exploited for the purposes of learning with our youngest kids, then that also puts them at a disadvantage. So what I'd like to think that I have tried to do successfully is heighten the conversation about the importance of preparedness for our children at our Title I schools.
So I'm very eager to know what that looks like, but I want to give you an opportunity to share that link. So we just sent that link to you. If you want to go and just share that link, because I'm sure not just me as a parent wants to know, but that sounds like something that majority of us would like to know.
I'm almost done here.
Well, while you work on that, let's go ahead and run a commercial right quick.
All right.
Yes, sir. And we're back. Thank you for that, Mr. Jones. Thank you. Thank you. I hope y'all enjoyed that. So for those that don't know, I am RJ. I am the program host for this week's forum. And we are just going to just get to the nitty gritty, talk to those who took out that what is that? It's a big step, to go and want to serve in our community. Some have already been in position, and there are some that think that they have something better to offer. Fortunately for us, today we have the opportunity to talk to Mr. Darrell Jones, who is a school board member for District 3. Which encompasses majority of the South Side schools, and as he articulated, all of the Title I schools in that area. And so today we're going to just talk with him. In this segment, we do have District 4 right after, but right now we're talking about what ways that we can work together to improve the needs of the students in District 3 and plans that he already have underway. So I hope you all will enjoy this. Please don't forget to add your questions in the chat. We are manning the chat, so we would like to include as much of the community as possible. That was the timer for the last interview. We just interviewed District 1. And so we also encourage you all to share, like and share this video. Make sure as many of the parents are aware and know that we do have professionals here who are interested and eager to meet their needs. A lot of times, politicians get a lot of pressure about their role and what they do in the community, and so we just want to give everyone a chance to to say something directly. So we definitely want to hear what you have to say. Thanks so much for tuning in. So let's take it back. I'm going to go and finish the conversation with Mr. Jones. So we were talking about the challenges that you face as the board member for District 3. And what you were saying was the preparedness of it all, of the students coming into here. So now I imagine you are responsible all the way down from kindergarten and pre-K so all the elementary and middle schools in this district. Is that correct? Is
That's
that how
right.
that works? Mm-hmm.
And the way the district is organized, most of us, each of the school board members has a high school. My high school is James S. Rickards, but I also share in terms of demographic, not demographic, but geography. I have voters whose children attend Godby. So we really see ourselves as champions for all of our schools. But, I'm old enough to remember when there was a guy named Tip O'Neill, who was a United States congressman from Massachusetts, who wrote a book. It's called All Politics is Local. And so the challenges and the responsibilities that I have from my particular voting constituency is different than someone on the north side, the west side, east side, potentially. And so, although I serve all students, all teachers, all sites, all children, all students, all staff, there are particular nuances that are born of my electorate that I must also be responsive to and advocate for. And I don't take that responsibility lightly. And it informs my voice, and it also informs my vote and my perspective as I look at issues.
Nice. So let me ask you this, because you mentioned preparedness, but I asked about the students from elementary school to high school. And I imagine any role of leadership, there are some challenges that you're going to face. It's kind of the nature of the beast. You kind of go into it knowing that you're going to have these challenges. So what progressive knowing the challenges, what progressive plans do you have underway or currently in place to deal with these challenges?
Well, and one of the things I said when I ran was that our children deserve better. And I realized that it was important that there be someone who continued to voice the concerns of Title I children and Title I schools and the resources and intentional investment in those children and those sites. One of the things I said early on, if you want to know a person's values, look at their checkbook. Well, our superintendent, Rocky Hanna, shared that same vision with me. And so we made intentional investments in early learning. One, expanding the school day for our earliest learners. Those children who were on vouchers that only paid for a half a day, the district then made the intentional investment that our earliest learners in pre-K and early learning programs would enjoy a full day of instruction. Parents no longer had to either come out of pocket for them to have a full school day, or worse yet, take their children home. That was one thing. Then we realized that as the persons who would ultimately be the long-term custodian of a child's learning experiences, we could no longer sit idly by and see the regrettable activity in the early learning programs found across this district. So the superintendent and the school board hired a person and gave them a staff that they could then be able to provide the type of intentional instruction and professional development to create standards in early learning. Too many of our early learning centers and our private providers were just babysitting children.
Right.
Well, what we did was we thought it was important to create curriculums to provide a universal standard for our community about what private providers should be teaching our children, such that when they got to us, they had already received that instruction. Imagine this: if Ms. Johnson, if you were in a pre-K program and all you did was go, play, be babysat, have your lunch, eat your snacks, and then you come to what is going to be now a formal exercise, right, Ms. Joseph?
Right.
And when you got to kindergarten, you were sit down. I'm used to running wild. I'm used to doing what I want to do. And so here now, the opportunity for the teacher to provide quality instruction is diminished because every child doesn't come into that setting when they get to kindergarten with the same experiences.
Now, so my rebuttal question would be, is this something that y'all suggested for the private schools, or is that something that is required now?
Well, it's not required because we could not enforce responsibilities on private industry.
Mm-hmm.
But all of those persons who are in the field care about our children. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people are blithely unaware unless you have the conversation. I learned early on because some 20 years ago, I was involved with an organization called Kids Incorporated of the Big Bend. Mm-hmm. And Kids Incorporated is a gold standard early learning program. I understood the importance of developmental play. Mm-hmm. Well, some people are in the business because they love children. I think everybody's in the business because they love children, but they may have been unaware that the impacts of their failing to provide a quality level of instruction were putting the children at great risk. So we found a welcoming industry that was happy to be informed of what we knew would be great standards of instruction, and they have embraced that. We bring the type of professional development activities, the type of guidance to the industry that they have embraced, such that everybody wants our children to succeed. And so we realized we couldn't wait to them to get to kindergarten to inform that instruction. And that's how we got involved with our providers. And we know that long-term, we will see the dividends in our children and their activity.
Okay, and I just want to, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask this question again because I want to make sure it's clear. Are you saying that these standards for private entities, is this something that's already created? This curriculum, is it already created?
Yes, our people, and namely Brooke Bruner, who's a former elementary school principal in our district, is now running our early learning program. And she and her team, along with other community partners like Whole Child Leon, the Early Learning Coalition, have come together to inform a community of business owners. Then we also, because we're also offering early learning programs at a number of our elementary school sites like Pineview, Oak Ridge, Bond, all have early learning programs. We are able to now provide standardized instruction such that any kid who comes to any of these programs, and potentially the private programs, will all come prepared. And you know what I found amazing that most people don't know? when we were taking for granted that we were coloring and playing with blocks, do you not realize that that was developmental play?
Yeah.
Coloring within the lines and the type of spatial relationships and all of those are building blocks for math. But it has to be purposeful and intentional that subsequently they then serve as the building blocks for instruction.
Yes, so I actually am friends with some preschool teachers, specifically in the African American community, and so there I've come to find African American preschool teachers, those who value education. I must say, there are some tactics that they include in their lessons for the little kids. So that is something that I was aware of and found interesting to know how much of an impact that those types of activities do have on our kids. So I am happy to hear that, and I'm glad that you know that as well, because we need that for our kids, especially for those who are coming from households where education isn't the number one thing that goes on there. We don't want to underestimate the little things, because the little things they positively affect the bigger things. I want to kind of go on to another question and ask you about so you mentioned and we're gonna stay in Title I schools just for right now, because I know that that's the area of where you work the most. So the families that are there, a lot of times that the resources that they get, not, I guess I'm saying families, but I'm also talking about teachers included. So everyone associated with Title I schools, a lot of times they say that the resources they're getting is not enough. Is that something that you guys are discussing at the district, or do you guys just say, well, we are doing the best we can? Like how is that translated up there?
Well, no, never that. But we've had Title I programs, Title I schools for a long time. And like many communities that have working class families. And what we have done is we have worked to optimize those dollars. We pay attention to how principals are given the flexibility based upon every school site and every school's culture to make the intentional investments where we can see the greatest return on that investment. Some schools may use their Title I funds to hire more teachers to bring down class size such that they can then be able to provide, more hands-on instruction. Others may use their Title I funds to invest in additional programs, perhaps softwares that like athletics or different math programs where there may be deficiencies. They may use it also, they may opt to use their monies for professional development. They may also use their monies to pay for Saturday schools or expand their after school programs. But we know that our principals know what's best for each of their schools, because they're looking at the data in terms of the test scores, the responsiveness of our kids. They're in communication with teachers and parents subsequently, that they can make the best choices for their kids based upon the monies that are made available to them. Now, we realize that those Title I funds are not enough. We also need purposeful investment from our community. You take a school like, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, take a school like Gilchrist Elementary School. Gilchrist is on the north side of town. A great number of the families and the parents whose children attend that school are business owners. Parents make purposeful investments. They may donate additional monies. They have booster programs. They may be willing to pay for field trips and other exercises. Well, when you have schools that have working class families, there may not be those additional monies available to pay for extras that help to inform and enhance the student experience. So it's my job. And I see myself, and let me be clear, in our district, and me specifically, it's not my job to provide guidance, not to be the boss of the school board, school district principals. That's not my job. My job, as I see it, is to be the principal ombudsman and ambassador for each one of my principals. And that's why I think it is important that if they need additional resources, that I can be an advocate. If they need someone to talk about what's going on at their school, or even identify additional supports at the district level, that's my job, to make certain that my people are equipped and empowered to provide our children with the most enriching educational experience possible.
Now, you talked about the community doing purposeful investing into the schools. Can you elaborate a little bit more of what is going to make that purposeful?
So let me say this, and I say this modestly.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I'm most proud of is that since I was elected, I have not ever shirked from having the difficult conversations about this community making purposeful investment in our Title I schools. I have told our people, and by the way, my email address is spelled wrong. You're missing an E after the H. It's Bethelite, BETHELITEDJ, in case anyone wants to communicate with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I have and I think the community will agree that my constant advocacy and vocalizing the opportunity, I call my district an opportunity zone. I call our Title I schools an opportunity zone, that people can make, that our community can take opportunity, right, to invest in our children and our youngest learners, right?
Mm-hmm.
So subsequently, in that, because I have not changed my voice, I have been consistent. It's been a sustainable presence advocating for them. We have seen, for example, the Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce created a program where they would adopt every kindergarten classroom in the Leon County School District. The Big Bend Minority Chamber has made a purposeful investment by having a golf tournament to provide additional resources to our Title I schools. My colleagues have subsequently made intentional investments in early learning, and that children who attend Title I schools or children who are qualified for free and reduced lunch also have free field trips. So when a kid, when there are greater activities for our young people, regardless of your ability to pay, you can still attend. So that's been because of I would like to think, for my constant advocacy. So it's not that I made it happen, but having this conversation and educating our community, we've been able to enlist more Rotary chapters who invest in our children, to include my own, the Southside Rotary, who has a 5K devoted to Title I schools. So I just think it's my responsibility to continue to keep my foot on the gas and continue to remind our community that all of these children, regardless of where they live, belong to all of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm very happy to hear. And that actually was going to tie into my next question, because I know another hat that you wear, which I think is a big hat, is over with OEV, Office of Economic Vitality. Are you still there?
I am still there.
Yes.
And I think that's important too. And I appreciate you bringing that up. I try to keep the conversation separate.
Right.
But I realize that economic development and economic opportunity run hand in hand.
Yeah.
Candidates, you will hear candidates right now, as you continue to have these forums, right? Everybody talks about 32304 is the lowest income district, zip code in the state of Florida. Well, how do we remedy that?
Right.
That's through job creation. And what I think is important is that we continue to heighten conversations. And as an economic development professional, I think it's important that we continue to have the conversation about how we create more jobs. Where we have children who are in our school district, 35,000 of them, and every kid is not going to college. But what we can do is be intentional about providing options for our kids. Some prepare that, and that type of preparedness, such that when the kid graduates, we see 3,500 high school graduates at every graduation. We need to make certain that every kid who graduates goes to college.
Yeah.
Now, to be very clear,
yeah,
every college is not a four-year institution. We have Lively Vocational Technical College. Imagine if you duly enrolled at Lively Vocational Technical College, you can be armed with a trade. So when you walk across the stage, not only do you have your high school diploma, but you're also armed with a certification that prepares you to go immediately into the workforce. And we need to have more conversations about how we stimulate that conversation and inform our parents of those options for their kids.
Right. Right. Now, so when you're working in with the Office of Economic Vitality, would you say that that gives you an opportunity to share the opportunities of this
Oh,
intentional investment?
Most definitely. I mean, I've had important conversations as an economic development professional. When I was first elected, the Big Bend Minority Chamber took me on a field trip to see the benefits of a career and technical high schools that they have in Nashville. That's one of the things that I'm advocating for right now, is that we would convert one of our high schools, if not build one, that is devoted to career and technical high school. And because these children are in our custodial care and getting instruction from elementary school to middle school, we can start planting seeds in the minds of parents and children that will prepare them to meet those opportunities, that when they get to high school, if they're at a career and technical high school, their first 2 years can be, of course, the rudiments of instruction, continue to amplify their writing ability, their math skills, but at the same time, they're then making final decisions about what career they want to go into. And they can see a variety of careers and options exposed to them in one place. Healthcare, construction trades, IT, manufacturing, all of that can be made, welding, all that can be made available to them at their career and technical high school. If we've seen communities create high schools that are devoted to the musical arts, then why can't we do the same thing for long-term careers and investment in our children, intentional investments in our children to prepare them for the rigors and responsibilities for adulthood?
Nice. Well, I mean, and that's important to know, and I'm glad that you are having those conversations with those that's looking to invest in our community, because our kids need it and they deserve it. They deserve knowing that they have a community of people that are fending for them because they can't fend for themselves. So it is refreshing to hear you being involved in that way, at least to me. So I do want to ask you, how are you managing both responsibilities, working with OEV and still being engaged for the teachers and parents and families at the district?
Well, I'm not the only school board member who also works full time. My former colleague Dee Dee Rasmussen does the same thing, as does Alva Strickland. The good part for me, I am grateful that both my vocation and my avocation provide me to do, and I don't want to, and it's not my intention to wax religiously, but I realize that God called me for such a time as this.
Yeah.
And subsequently, being where I am and being able to use my voice to amplify these types of conversations when there's such an important need for these types of conversations, I'm grateful to be where I am. And luckily for me, and I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, I would hope that my being the director for minority women and small business programs and being a member of the school board helps me to amplify and create the types of opportunities for my people, all of humankind, but specifically for my culture. Be able to have that type of impact and influence is a gift from God. And I'm grateful that my community agrees with what has been my advocacy for our children thus far.
I'm glad you said your people, because I really want to know, what plans do you have for this next coming election once you get, the next part, once you go back in office? What plans do you have upcoming that we can look forward to?
Well, you'll note that I was one of the first school board members who would convene his own town hall meetings. And I thought it was important that we do it during COVID. One of the things I think is important, and I say this, I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. I'm in close communication with my principals constantly on agenda items. I see it's my responsibility as to enable and empower their vision for our schools. Once reelected, I will start those same kinds of conversations again to hear from our parents, find out what things and what nuances, what innovation and ingenuity and what current concerns they have regarding the school experiences for their children. Armed with that information, that will inform what my perspective and my work moving forward. Then the second thing that will inform my work moving forward is what I believe is the intellectual capital that is found in our schools. Our teachers and our principals know better than anybody what challenges they face at their respective sites. Being informed in town hall meetings about what our parents find important, finding out what our other constituent group, and that is the faculty, staff, and administration of our schools, finds important. And then those things that I think are born of my subject matter expertise as an economic development professional. I think that we have a remedy for poverty in our community, and that's through job creation. And anything I can do to help my colleagues come to consensus on facilitating the expansion of career and technical education in our district to include potentially a career and technical high school, as well as amplifying the work of our already existing lively vocational technical college and making purposeful investment in planting seeds long before our children get to high school in the benefits of seeing career and technical education as a worthwhile option to create a life, have the types of life-changing, life-affirming experiences that prepare them to earn a livable wage here in this, the 10th smartest community in the country.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Jones. I really appreciate the thorough answers that you've been sharing. And I hope that they've been clear enough for you guys. If there's anything that's unclear that you would like to ask Mr. Jones, this is a great time to do so. I'll make sure that I get it included into the conversation. I wanted to ask you, Mr. Jones, about parent involvement. I know that's been a major challenge for the schools in District 3, and really for all Title I schools across the state. Do you have any suggestions or any plans to help combat that problem? Because, you know, when parents aren't so much involved, children have a tendency not to take their education as serious. So do you have anything in plans for something to deal with that?
Well, let me say this, right? Working class parents, right? Parents whose children who come from working class families, oftentimes it's not that parents aren't concerned. It's because parents may be working multiple jobs. They don't have pediatricians on speed dial. Oftentimes, emergency rooms and urgent care are the primary care providers for their kids. And imagine if you are a family where you are working an hourly wage. If you take off from school sometimes to come for parent conferences and other activities, means that you don't get paid. And so our working class families are dealing with choices between involvement and keeping food on the table and a roof over the heads of their children. It's not that they don't care as much, but there are other responsibilities that matter just as much. So what I have seen in our school district, because we've got such fantastic principals and such fantastic teachers who make ways for parents to be involved in non-traditional means. Perhaps it's at Saturday school where the parents come in. Perhaps it's in the evening that those parents may come in, or where we engage in virtual conversations where we can have that type of engagement. But I know that through our Title I Advisory Committee, led by Talithia Edwards, and our principals are finding special and unique ways to make certain that our parents are very much involved in the activities of our children. And it's just a matter of being creative, because I am convinced, and no one can tell me otherwise, my parents love their children just as much as parents love their children in any part of this community. But we've just got to find unique ways to provide those opportunities for our parents to be engaged, and that's oftentimes in non-traditional settings. Also, a number of our schools are creating parent resource rooms. And what is important about those parent resource rooms, imagine if mom wants to get a new job. Well, here now, with transportation as a problem, you ain't got to go to Career Source. When you drop your kid off, come inside the school, go to the parent resource room, get online, apply for benefits, come to the school, right? The school can be a full service facility with programs and activities and schedules that meet not only the children in the traditional classroom, but can also be a spot where parents can also receive those types of important services that help to improve the quality of life for the family. But that's because our principals, right? And I'm gonna name my principals. I name my principals: Todd Lantner at Fort Braden, Shannon Davis at Sable Palm, Carmen Connor at Pine View, Delshawna Jackson at Bond, Jasmine Smith at Oak Ridge Elementary School. And then I have Dr. Benny Bolden at Frank Nims, and then the Dean of Principals, Doug Cook at Rickards High School. But all of them use unique and special methods by which they try to increase parent involvement. And so part of that is also seen in that community partnership school model that we see at Sable Palm, where we bring in a variety of community-based organizations to provide services for families at the school site.
That's really awesome. So this parent room, is it only a resource room? Are you saying that it's only going to be for the schools in the District 3 zone, or is that something y'all looking
Well,
to?
but think about it. If the parents are bringing their kids to the school, right, or because the school is in the neighborhood, it makes access easier. And we realize that, our schools can also, they're not only safety nets for the kids, they're safety nets for the family, because we realize that the quality of the family life informs the quality of life for the child.
But will it only be in District 3?
No, parent resource rooms can be at any school that has the will to create them.
Gotcha. When you say the will, do you mean the funds?
The funds, every school, every principal has their own priorities. And so I would like to think that because we are aware of these models occurring, like at Hartsfield, like at Pine View, that others will be replicating that same model. Also, Sable Palm, and you'll start to see those pop up. Each school is armed with its own student advisory council. A lot of these ideas come from Student Advisory Council. They identify the resources, and they subsequently devote space to provide that resource.
Okay. Let me ask you another question about gun violence. Do you believe, I asked the teachers in District 1, do you believe that teachers should be able to carry guns to school?
No.
No? Okay. No. And so when you guys are choosing school resource officers, can you kind of explain to us what that is? Are you guys involved with that process? Or
No. Well, school resource officers are provided by the Leon County Sheriff's Office. And then we also, to complement that, we also have a professional agency that provides us with guardians who are also staffed and who are qualified persons who can also provide security options at our school. We are very, very proud of what is the intentional investment that we make with the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas funds that are provided to our school and additional enhancements that we also provide. We realize that our first responsibility is to make certain that our school sites are safe.
Right.
And then beyond that, we then have made purposeful and intentional investments with partners like the company that provides our guardian service and our Leon County Sheriff's Office to make certain that we are providing the type of personnel who are able to make certain, who are present to ensure the safety of our facilities.
Mr. Jones, is it the responsibility of the school board member over the district to decide what activities that you all are going to support in the community, things that you guys do out in the community? Who makes those decisions?
Well, I think each board member is led by their own set of priorities. Again, like I said, not to wax biblically, I know that I was called for a time as this, but long before I was a school board member, I was doing that anyway. Like I said, I was already involved with the Oasis Center for Girls, Kids Incorporated at the Big Bend, concerned about the quality of instruction that our children, our earliest learners, were receiving. And so here as a school board member, I now continue that. I make a point of making certain that our district uh, provides the type of resources and support to community-based organizations that are having positive impact for our children. I am our school board's representative to the Children's Services Council. I was an advocate for that important taxable authority that was created to provide tax-based dollars to provide additional resources in our community to meet the needs of our children and and young adults, to respond to issues of crisis like food security, early learning development, and then long-term impacts in terms of career and technical education and providing pathways for our young people. So I have been doing that. I was doing that before I was elected. And I continue to do the same and encourage my colleagues to do the same. But I know that my presence in my district and my engagement in my district and with my schools and with Title I schools across our district is important and is making a difference.
Nice, thank you. I have a big question from the students in these districts. Is there any plans to change the lunches that they're eating? Is there any ideas for that too? I know
Well,
a lot of
we just changed leadership at the district for school lunches, and they brought us some samples of what they're eating. But if there are complaints like that, let me know, because I believe people ought to have good groceries now. As you can tell, I eat well, and I want our children to eat well too, and eat healthy and nutrition, and make certain our meals are nutritious. And then I also would hope that we also provide unique ways to let our children understand foods, where their food sources come from, and how long-term nutritional choices and the long-term implications are the same as a part of just providing a daily meal. One of the things I also think is important, that we are very much aware of food insecurity. I'm grateful for partners like Prime Meridian Bank and its new program, where they'll be helping us to provide additional meals for our children. I can't help but I have to pause and talk about Monique Ellsworth and the folks at Second Harvest and others who are providing pantries where our kids are able to are being provided with book back meals that they can take back home over the weekend to make certain that they help to mitigate food insecurities. Far too many of our children are going to bed hungry. And I think that as we speak to the needs of the whole child as a district, we make a point of ensuring that we cater to the vulnerable. And I could not be more delighted and proud to serve with a superintendent and school board members who share that interest in making certain that our children are fed.
So when you got those samples, what were your thoughts on it?
The day they had the samples was the day I missed, but sometimes there may be a breakdown in the translation in terms of what they receive, what they may have shown us, and what they're receiving now. Those types of updates are important. So if you say the kids are concerned, I will certainly look into it.
Oh yeah, I think you should, because all of them. I have yet to run across a child that did not express. They say either they don't eat at school or they bring lunch to school, which I think would be it's an extra burden for those parents who have to make sure that their kids have lunch to bring to school in addition to the food they're eating at home. So I think that might be something worth looking into for sure.
I promise you'll hear about it Tuesday night.
Sounds good to me. Okay, and then I want to ask before we go, I know we're winding up off on time here. So I wanted to ask you about bullying. What are some things that you're hearing at the district for bullying? And if you guys have any plans or programs underway or already implemented to deal with students suffering from that?
Well, we want to make certain that we create the most nurturing and loving environment possible. One of the things I say oftentimes is that our teachers love first and teach second, and our administrators love first and lead second. And so subsequently that informs how we engage with our children, particularly when they bring any types of concerns about their safety or feeling vulnerable. And so I know that through intervention services, we are speaking to those issues. Here most recently, we've received a whole lot of there's been a whole lot of discussion about what we have done to protect our LGBTQ students and creating a policy that equips teachers to be responsive, that equips them with policies and resources that they might be responsible to those vulnerable populations. I will say this, I want to make certain that all of our sites and all of our principals and all of our persons in administration are armed with a variety of tools to deal with discipline at our schools. The reality is, and it may sound cliche, hurt people hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes no one deserves to be bullied, but we also have to understand why the bully bullies.
Mm-hmm.
Because both of those children, the bullied and the bully, belong to us.
Mm-hmm.
So is there trauma that makes a child? So that's why we just can't go just to suspension on everything and send a child who's already vulnerable, send them home.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be innovative and let's communicate and talk to our kids and get to the bottom of issues. And I believe that our teachers are doing that. They are being instructed on ways that they mitigate and respond to conflict resolution and finding out issues, finding out the information from both sides involved and making those types of decisions that we know can make certain that our children are remaining in school and our children are feeling safe.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you these last few questions, and I'm going to ask for a 10-second response.
Okay, because I got another one.
You got another what?
I got to go to another event. My niece is having her ribbon cutting for her brand new, my oldest goddaughter. And
what's her business? Give it a shout out.
Yes, I don't know the name of it, but
my well, let me ask you this while you pull it up.
West is starting a brand new business, and I can't wait to go see her and celebrate her accomplishments. But I'm very, very proud of her.
What side of town is it?
It's in the plaza where on North Monroe, where Wild Cajun used to be.
Okay, yeah.
And that dry cleaners is there.
Is it a restaurant?
No, she's starting a hair salon.
Oh, good for her. Yes, sir. Good for her.
And I could not be more proud of her. She is just so extraordinary and so very, very special. And I'm so proud of her.
These 10-second questions is going to ask you about oh man, I'm waiting for them to load. What did I remember them. So about gun violence, well, we talked about it. I'm sorry, 1 second. Let me see. Where was it? Masking. Do you think students coming back to school should be wearing masks?
No, why would they wear masks?
Due to the rise in COVID and the monkeypox, stuff like that.
Well, I believe parents have options that they can make in their own best interest, both parents and teachers, in regards to safety, both social distancing and masking. But I can't imagine that we would go back to a mandatory mask mandate again.
Okay, and then there are teachers who are interested to know about, is it possible to switch from getting paid monthly to every 2 weeks? Is that something you think you can get behind?
I mean, if they would want that, I mean, first of all, I don't believe that people should govern by surveys, because I would have to, there has to be, I don't know what the reason is why we do it monthly. If there's some legitimate explanation, but it would have to be a groundswell of interest in changing to a new process like that. Because, I mean, not that it can't be done, but it would require more than just a fringe of voices wanting those types of changes.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, but I would like it. I mean, that's why I'm paid on my regular job, and so I wondered why it was that way. But yeah, but I mean, if, again, and there are means by which those types of conversations come forward through collective bargaining to make those types of changes from each one of the collective bargaining units that include both instructors as well as non-instructional staff. But it would have to be through collective bargaining that I would think that would occur, such that it would not just, it would be a priority set forth by those individual groups.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being with us this evening. I'm just going to give you 30 seconds so you can make an appeal to the community, and we're going to let you go because I know your niece definitely is waiting for you to get there.
Well, I am, as I often say, I'm deliciously proud to join you, Ms. Joseph. Thank you for having me here to share with my community what I believe has been our successes over these last 4 years. I have been intentional in terms of my conversation and my advocacy on behalf of the children, the schools, the parents, and the staff and faculty of our Title I community. I have never wavered in that. I am convinced that it is our responsibility as a school district and as a community to cater to the vulnerable and not cater to the fringe. I want everyone to know that parental rights is nothing new. We have all parents care about their children, but I want to acknowledge the important work that the subject matter expertise that is born of our Leon County school teachers and the passion and the dedication and devotion seen by our staff, as well as the genius found in our administration, has helped us to be successful in providing quality instruction for our children and providing necessary resources for our faculty and staff. And subsequently, I think that is why we are doing a great job doing that common thing uncommonly well in our Leon County schools. And I ask for the continued support of my electorate, my neighbors in Southside Tallahassee, that I might continue to serve their best interests.
Thank you for that. And thank you so much for being here. I wish you well. I hope that you'll continue to serve in such an impactful way in our community. You continue to be a presence in our community. And I hope you get to your niece's event safely and y'all have a good time. Thanks you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. And thank you for providing our community with this important conversation.
My pleasure. Good night.
Good night.
Oops. Sorry. So thank y'all for tuning in. Mr. Jones, as you just heard, he is representing District 3, serving in the Leon County School Board in that capacity. He is the incumbent, so he currently holds that seat. He does have a runner-up. We're not sure who that person is. As you know, we always encourage you also to do your research to be sure that you're supporting the people that is of value to you. But at the very least, we did have that portion to offer where you got a sense to kind of hear what is it that Mr. Jones is looking to do, as well as what he has been doing in our community. Next up, we have Miss Susan Hodges. She's running for District 4. She's going to be sharing the conversation. She does have some that is also running for that seat as well, but Miss Hodges took the time and liberty to address the community, which I think is big. To be a community servant, it's important to come and take time to talk to the people of the community. And the fact that she took the time to come and speak with us today, I think that should be duly noted. We're so grateful to have her. But right before I bring her on, I just want to share a message from one of our sponsors. So please enjoy, and we'll be back soon. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. All right, so today we've been talking with those running for school board, becoming a part of the school board members of District 1, District 3. Next, we're going to be talking with running for District 4. And so we have the pleasure to have a conversation with Miss Susan Hodges. There is actually someone who is an incumbent, I believe, in that district. But Ms. Hodges feel like that person may not be doing just enough, and she has something to offer, which we look forward to hearing about. So I'm just going to come and welcome her onto the platform.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Ms. Hodges. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. It was
Thanks for
actually Dee Dee Rasmussen who resigned, so there's
That's
no incumbent right now.
right. That's right. She did resign. That's right. That's right. So thanks for clearing that up for us. So can you tell me what makes you want to run, being that she did step down? What made you feel like it was good timing for you, and what did you have to offer?
Well, I have two small children right now that are 3 and 1.5, and before long they'll be entering the school system, and I have a passion to make it better than what it is right now.
Okay. So what about it is not enough to make you feel like you have to take the reins? Because this is actually that's a big deal to kind of want to say, I want to come and lead this whole district.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So what are some challenges you think that they're dealing with now that you think you can help and improve?
Well, there's a few things. I want to look at the security. I want to improve on the Guardian program and set something up in place where I know our kids are safe. I don't want to send my kids out to a school that I know is not safe. I also want to look at the curriculum. I believe that we can improve on it. I believe that the curriculum has suffered and we need to bring back things like civics and life skills and how to balance a checkbook and home economics and things like that, as well as the regular, reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Awesome. So for the people that aren't aware, can you give us an idea of where District 4 is? What are the boundary lines for District 4?
It starts at the freeway and it works its way up to the Georgia line, and it goes from Thomasville Road over to around about just past, what is that? I can't think of the street. I think it's like over by Old Bainbridge. That's what it is. I think it might be a little bit past Old Bainbridge.
Okay. And so some of the schools in this district you would be serving, can you list some of them?
I am sorry. I am still getting familiar with them, and I actually was going to look at them again, and I haven't had time. I apologize because I have a full-time job that I'm also running a campaign, and I do know some of the schools in the district. I just can't think of the names right now, and I have looked at them, and I have looked at the reports, and I have been familiar with the names, but right now my mind is not on them and I can't think of them right at the moment. So I do apologize.
No, that's okay. It happens. Can you share with us why you want to run for District 4? Like this District 5, the Mr. Nicholas is who ran for that one, and he ran unopposed. So what about District 4 that you wanted to gain opposed to all the other districts that are up for re-election?
Well, District 4 is where I live, and you have to live in the district that you run for.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so you have to live in that district.
Right.
Gotcha. Oh, well, that's something. I mean, I don't know if anyone knew. If y'all knew that, let me know in the chats. But that's news to me. Okay. And so what school do you work with closely? What schools where have you had experience in to develop the ideas that you have to say that they need this?
Well, I have friends who are teachers, and they have reported to me some of the problems that they have with behavior and curriculum and just just things that they have concerns with. And my mother was a teacher, my brother, my sister-in-law, and I've got friends who are teachers currently, and they're the ones that report to me about, okay, this is a problem, and we are dealing with behavior issues, and with the hybrid classes and things like that, the kids weren't doing their work. And she tells me a lot of stories that are very concerning.
Gotcha. So have you had any, well, I guess you mentioned behavior. What ideas do you have uh to put in place to deal with the behavior problems that some of these teachers are experiencing, if not all of them?
I think there's a combination of things that we can do. And honestly, I heard Daryl's answer about bullying and dealing with the bullies by finding out what the problem is. And I really like that answer. And I agree with that completely. And I think that that is an issue that we should look at and that we should implement. We need to get to the root as to why these kids are bullying and why they are misbehaving in class. Are there problems at home that need to be dealt with? Are there issues in, are they being bullied themselves? Do we need to address something? Or is there a learning disability? Because learning disabilities can cause a lot of problems where if you're not understanding something, then you're going to disrupt the class because it's embarrassing to you. And I think there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed as a possible reason why someone might be misbehaving.
Okay. And so what would you say your top priorities would be when you go into office? What would you say? Because you guys are reelected every 4 years. So what are some things you're looking to accomplish in that time frame?
My main concern is security, as I said, and curriculum, and looking at the curriculum. And also, I also want to look at the budget. That's very important to me because I want to address the teachers' pay because I understand the hardship. I am not a rich person, so I understand how hard it is to make a paycheck spread throughout the month. My husband gets paid once a month, and that's very hard. And if it wasn't for my job, we would have a hard time making it through the month. And I want to make that better for the teachers. I want to improve that. And that would be one of my goals.
So the teachers that are asking for the pay to be switched from monthly to biweekly, you would be able to stand behind that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a benefit to getting paid once a month, but there's also a benefit to getting paid twice a month because, I mean, you get paid once a month and you've got that chunk of money that you can pay all your bills with at once and budget it out. But then, you have to make a stretch, and making it stretch is the hard part.
That's understood. Yes, ma'am. So you mentioned security. There was also a question I've been asking the other candidates about their thoughts of teachers carrying guns to the classrooms. What are your thoughts on that?
I am absolutely in favor for it. I
Yeah.
believe that so if something happened, the quickest response is a teacher in the classroom who has a gun in a safe place that is not easily accessible to the kids, but where he knows or she knows where it is, and they can access it in case there's an emergency. And I believe that they are the first line of defense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. May I ask, what party are you affiliated with?
Republican.
You are Republican. Yeah. Okay. And I'm sorry, I didn't even ask, how long you been living in Tallahassee?
15 years.
15 years. Okay. So you mentioned about increase in pay for the teachers. Are you aware of the recent increase that they had maybe like a month ago or maybe 2 months at most? Also for this, that's supposed to go into effect into this school year?
Yes, I believe my husband works for Department of Education, so he was part of that raise. So yes, and
Are you
I
saying
think
it's not enough?
You know, I sometimes I believe it may not be enough.
Mhm.
As someone who has to live on that, then sometimes, yeah, I can say that.
Yeah. So, tell me your understanding of the school of the students in this district, in District 4. What are some of the challenges that you can say that they experience?
I believe I'm going to go back to the curriculum because I don't believe that they're being taught exactly what they need to be taught. I believe that there is a disservice there only because we are not up to the state test standards. And I believe that that can be improved upon. And it's a matter of making sure that they are being presented with the right curriculum. And I want to, I understand that in my district that there is a disparity of incomes, like there's a rich part and a poor part. And I want to address that if I'm elected and try to bring some balance there. I want to be able to go out and visit and see how we can assist and help.
Okay. And so the curriculum that they're currently using, are you aware? Do you know which one it is? What's the name of it?
I do not at the moment. I have tried to get copies. I've tried to inquire about it, but I have hit a roadblock at every turn.
Nice. You said you had small children. Do they attend Leon County schools now?
Not yet. Not yet.
Oh,
My oldest is 3. He's
gotcha.
still in daycare.
Okay, so you're just trying to get ahead of the curve.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
I understand that. So what are some values that you believe that you would bring to this position that you think is currently missing?
Well, you mean professionally or you personally?
Professionally, yeah. So I guess the better
Professionally.
word is what are some skills, excuse me, that you would be bringing to this position that you would believe is missing?
Okay. Well, I do have a very strong administration background. And I don't know that administration is missing from that, but it's something I can that I can do strongly. I'm not exactly sure if I know how to answer that question as to what's missing because I've never been on a school board before and I don't know exactly how the ins and outs work at this time.
Gotcha. So basically, what's happening here, and this is for the viewers to understand. So Didi Rasmussen, I think I said her name right. She stepped down, and so now there's an open seat. So this is almost equivalent to. This is equivalent to. Sorry. um, Basically, an opening at a job vacancy, and so Miss Hodges stepped up to apply for the job. So not to say that she is better than the other candidates. Am I putting words in your mouth, or do you think you are better than the
Oh,
other
no. No,
candidates?
I would never say I'm better than any of the candidates. I have met both candidates and they're both very experienced. And I'm experienced as well, but in different areas, and I can bring a different perspective to the
Mhm,
school board. And I respect both candidates completely. And Lori Cox, she's very sweet, and Alex is very nice.
mhm,
And I enjoy talking and visiting with them when we get together.
mhm.
But I would never say I'm better than them.
So would you keep this job as a member in Leon County School Board? Would you keep your full-time job and also do the school work at the school board, or do you plan on working at the school board full-time?
Considering I've never worked at the school board as of yet, my plan right now is to keep my full-time job and work at the school board because my understanding is most of the activities are in the evening. Now, I have talked to my husband about it and we have discussed, okay, well, what if there are events that take place in the day? You know, I have to schedule time off. And is there at any point that I need to quit my day job and work full-time for the school board. But I was told that most people who run for school board and work for the school board keep their daytime jobs. So at the moment, I'm comfortable in saying that I would keep it. But if something changed, I might revisit that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So I wanted to ask questions about diversity in this for this area. I know that that's a lot of things, a lot of parents who has concerns of educational equity, being able to, especially with this learning loss that we really experienced learning loss throughout the entire county. So the question directly is about the parents who feel like their children are really behind and may need that additional assistance. How do you think that you can support those families who need that educational assistance, but may not be prioritized at their school?
I believe we should hire tutors to help them catch up, or make a program or create a program for kids who are that far behind. Maybe they didn't take it seriously, or maybe they've got the learning disability and they didn't have access to the programs that we have for learning disability when they had to work at home or do school at home. And I think that we need to look at that and set something up, and that would have to be something that would bring all the minds together for us to brainstorm and figure out, okay, how can we deal with this?
hmm So when you say hire tutors, how much do you think they would get paid at least?
I don't know right now because I don't know how much tutors usually go for, but I would hope that it would be a going rate for any other tutor that would be hired. I know it's not a cheap thing, and I wouldn't expect anyone to work for pennies.
Yeah, yeah. And so I know that at a lot of the schools here in Leon County, they try to hire people for programs like the 21st Century, the after school programs that are there. Are you familiar with the 21st Century program?
No, I'm not at this time.
Okay. And so for the various after school program, it has been challenging for those program directors to hire outside. And so what ends up happening is a lot of the teachers are staying after school to help with these after school programs. Do you have any idea of ways that you would help help to combat that challenge?
I would have to put some thought into it and research it. At this time, I don't know, but I hate the thought of a teacher having to put in that extra time because they already work very hard. And I know that it's challenging to even get your curriculum together, to keep the kids together, to deal with, every situation that comes up, and then to have to stay after school and do that too. That's hard. Yeah, that's something that we would definitely have to look at and visit.
Okay. And I want to also ask you about your working style. Can you explain your leadership style? What kind of leader do you think you are?
I like to lead by example. I don't like to leave the work for other people to do. I want to work with them. I want to get into the field and work alongside. I don't believe that I don't like to be a dictator type. That's not who I am. And I learn from other people even as I lead, and I value that. I want to see people grow. I want to be there with them when they grow, and I want to grow with them, because a leader isn't, if you just sit there and you lead and you have no interaction with them and you're not helping, then where is your growth? You become stagnant also.
hmm hmm Okay. And I also wanted to know, we're curious to see where the school board members are going to go in the next upcoming years. Do you have a plan in place once you get in office of what you plan on doing immediately? As soon as you get in, what's the first thing you plan on attacking?
So what programs am I going to look at, or what issue am I going to deal with first?
First,
Is that what
yes,
you're
ma'am.
asking? I believe I would deal with security first. I want to know our kids are safe. And I've also I have a friend whose husband has been in security for 40 years. And I've been talking to him about putting something in place, a plan in place for a system that that we could put in all the schools. And the thing about Uvalde was they had propped open a door. And so I've talked to him about how to combat that. And the fact is that if the door is going to be propped open, then what's the point of having a security system at all? So his suggestion was, you have an alert system that if the door is propped open or if the door is open for a certain amount of time, then the alarm goes off and you have to close that door so that way the kids stay safe. So I have been talking to him about that, and I do want to address that first thing.
Okay. So you mentioned the security that you want to look into, but what are some things that you want to do? What are you looking for, rather, in reference to the security plan?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
So you reiterated how important security was for you for these campuses. So what are you looking for in what's currently going on that you're wanting to improve? What are your concerns?
I want to improve on the Guardian program. I do think that yes, I do think that we need to have more volunteers. I believe that we need to have a bigger presence and to make sure that our kids are safe, to make sure that people know that we are serious about keeping them safe and having people who are experienced and certified in gun control and not gun control, I'm sorry, in gun safety. And I want to improve on that program.
Okay. And so would you be offering training? Like, give me some specifics. Like, do you mean like training for them? Is it creating a plan? I don't even know that there is an actual plan that the schools have. Some concrete stuff is what I'm trying to understand.
Right. Well, unfortunately, I don't have anything concrete now because I'm not really in a position to implement any of that. But I've put a lot of thought into it, and like some of the hours that because they do have a training program for people to for gun safety and to be on campus and to carry, and I do want to make that training program stronger. I want to make it longer. I want to bring more substance to that.
Gotcha.
But as concrete right now, I can't offer anything concrete until I'm elected.
Okay. So if you get into office, can you tell us a little bit of what your day-to-day priorities would be? I know that you're working as well, but what would be how you structure your time management? Can you share a little bit about what that looks like for you?
Well, right now, my time manager, I do have to work at putting time aside. I have to, I got to take care of my kids when I get home. And my husband is great at supporting me and helping with the kids and things like that. So if elected, I would be putting more time towards working for the school board and setting a few hours a week, and making sure that things get done. I would be scheduling for visiting schools. I would be scheduling for any events that come up that I would be available for. And I know there would be times I'd have to take time off of work, and that would be fine. But I want to make sure that I have dedicated time, even over the weekends and things, at times like that. And with my husband's support, he is great at stepping in and taking care of the kids. He's a really good dad.
Okay. And so with your husband working for the Department of Education, do you see him kind of like uh, doing things on the back end to support your role? Um,
No, I would never
mhm,
ask him to do that because it's not his place.
mhm.
And if that did come up, it would be on his end or on the Department of Education's end. I would never put him in that position.
Okay. Okay. And then for your elementary, I'm sorry, for the families, excuse me, I'm stumbling over my words.
I
But for
stumble
the
over my words all the time, so it's okay.
thank you. For the families in District 4 who um are not familiar with the school board process, can you kind of help them understand what the value you guys bring, the roles, what are you guys responsible for?
What the school board is responsible for,
Mhm.
uh, they are responsible for um, making sure that the policies are in place, making sure for the well-being of each child is being cared for, that, for example, the whole child of Leon County, making sure that they are able to do their work successfully. We want to be there to support them in anything that comes up. I believe that the school board is where the buck stops. If there's anything that happens that needs to be addressed, I believe we're there to support the child, and we are there to improve upon not only the schools but the systems, and we're there, I believe, to support the teachers.
Yeah. Are you familiar with who the superintendent is, the actual superintendent?
Rocky Hannah, yes.
Do you have a relationship with him at all?
No.
Okay. Are you familiar with a lot of any of the policies that he's put in place, or the type of working style that he has?
Somewhat, but not. I can't say that I know about the policies as of yet, because, like I said, I am very limited in the research I can do right now because of my full-time job. But I I do know about the LGBTQ guide that has recently come out. That was, I believe, something that he helped with. And as for that, I do have to do research on his policies.
Do you support the LGBTQ policies?
I do not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, because I believe that every child needs that care and that attention. I don't believe we need to single out children. I think that every child needs to be addressed, and the safety of every child needs to be addressed. And I believe that by singling them out, you're just causing more problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, that the don't say gay act. Um, do you support that? And would you have voted yes for that?
No,
No.
I don't support that because we are born male and female,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that that is the way God created us, and everything else is made up, and I don't support that.
Mm-hmm. So in the Don't Say Gay bill, basically they were limiting the education or discussion of sexual orientation to students under third grade. Um, but I mean, would you say that's too low, or would you say that they need to increase that? Like, we limit this conversation about sexual orientation to maybe fifth grade, sixth grade, or would you say at third grade? I think that's what I'm asking you.
To discuss sexual orientation with anyone who is under 18 is inappropriate, is
Mm-hmm.
what I believe. I don't think it needs to be addressed in school at all. I believe that is a parent's role, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe the school needs to be involved in that at all.
So I know a lot of teachers and principals, they were faced with challenges because there's parents who support their children's decision to be live as transgender, to kind of change orientation. If you're faced with stuff like that, what do you think you'll do?
That is up to the parent. If the parent wants their child to live that way, that is completely the parent's right.
I'm
And
sorry. So it was an incomplete question. So they go to the school and expect the school to support these changes. And so it's if the teacher doesn't, many times because the teacher didn't get the memo or the teacher didn't know, or if the teacher knew, they kind of disregarded it. So it becomes now an issue and it gets escalated to your office. How can you support the teacher in that regard?
okay, so repeat the question because I'm not exactly sure what you're asking me.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it was a little all over the place. So let me hone it in for us. So what it's and I think it's really more of a two-part question, right?
Okay.
So the first part is more asking about the teacher, and the other part is asking about how would you work with the parent in this case. But the situation is where parents support their children and their children's sexual preferences. And so if the teacher is making mistakes, for instance, calling the student by him when the student wants to be called referenced as her, or vice versa, if it becomes an issue with the student and the teacher and it escalates to your office, I'm curious to know how would you support, or excuse me, how would you deal with it with the teacher? And then I want to know how would you deal with it with the parent?
Okay, so I respect completely the parent's right to support their child in that. As for the school environment, I don't believe that the teacher needs to be forced to, if the child is a male and wants to be a female, I don't believe the teacher needs to be forced to remember what sex that person prefers, especially dealing with so many children in their classroom. I mean, how do you keep track of that? And you have to remember, oh wait, this kid wants to be a he and that kid wants to be a she, but you got to keep it straight. And I don't believe that's fair to the teacher. So I don't think that I would punish the teacher for not remembering their preferred gender. And I think that I would suggest that if the child wants to be called by a different pronoun, that he accepts being called that outside of school.
Okay. All right, so I just want to, as we're wrapping up, I don't want to forget, I do want to acknowledge that we are having this conversation. This is to the audience, that we are talking with Miss Susan Hodges. She is running for a school board member of District 4. And so we have just kind of been having this dialogue about some of the things that she anticipates to implement if she is elected. Ms. Hodges, this seat opened up when Dee Dee Rasmussen, I don't know if she retired, but she stepped down from the role she currently has been holding, and so now it's a vacant seat, and so it's up for grabs. And so there are several members of the community, including Ms. Hodges, who is seeking for this seat. And so she's here today to encourage you all, or to ask you guys to consider her for your vote. And so hopefully you guys are tuning in and asking questions. The chat is open for questions, so feel free to share. But we're gonna keep the conversation going. Miss Hodges, I do have some quick questions that they go by with 30-second answers. And so I'm gonna wrap it up. You would just see me put my finger up, and that's just meaning that you would have to wrap up your point. And then afterwards, I'll give you an opportunity to appeal to the community about asking them for your vote. Do you have any questions?
Not at this time, but thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so my first question to you is, how do you view the state of the district, District 4 in particular? How do you view the state of the district?
I view it as, I see that it has improved, and especially from the grades that were just presented from last year. And so I see that there is a big disparity between classes. And like I said before, that I think that should be addressed. I think that we need to look at how we could improve the poorer districts and help help them to come through their hardships.
Mm-hmm. And then, what are the top 5 qualities that you have that you think is going to be impactful in the role you're seeking to pursue, that you're pursuing?
Oh, that's a hard question to answer because I don't think about my qualities a lot. I don't sit there and think about myself. So, like administration, kindness. That I would be just as kind to this kid as I would the other kid, um, and I treat everyone equally and fairly. Um, I'm not sure exactly how else to answer that. I do want to make sure that every child's need is met. I know that is a big challenge because we have a lot of children, and I want to devote myself. I'm a devoted person, so that when I devote myself to something, I am fully in it. So that's a quality I would bring, is devotion um, and
Okay,
a,
on a scale of, I'm sorry.
it's okay.
So, next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think your sternness is in times of when you need to stand up for your district, for challenging times? Do you think how stern do you think you are?
I won't budge. If there's anything that needs to be done, and I know that this is the right thing, I will not budge. I come across as very soft spoken and nice and kind, but when there is an issue, I'm a bulldog. I won't give up.
Okay. So you saying 9 or 10?
Oh, I'm sorry. I would say a 10.
10? Yeah. Okay. So for buses, transportation is a challenge that some of the staffing these buses is a challenge that most districts are facing. Do you have an idea of how you can combat that challenge?
That's the first time I've heard of it, so I would have to really put some thought into it.
Okay.
I am amazed at these bus drivers. I think that they are so gifted and talented to be able to drive these buses. And we should look into people who are just in need, who really needs a job, and say, hey, let's give you an opportunity here. Let's give you the right training, and people who really want the challenge.
So follow-up question for bus drivers, a lot of them are concerned that they don't get enough hours uh, being a bus driver, which is why it's very difficult to staff those bus drivers. So it was suggested for the bus drivers to work on campus after they're done their route. Is that something you think you can stand behind?
Absolutely. When I was growing up, my bus driver, she worked at the school after driving our bus, and I would definitely support that.
Okay. What's 2 things you think you can improve once you get in office?
Other than security and curriculum, I I don't know yet. I don't know what kind of challenges that I might be facing, and I know that uh, um, I will be working with 4 other people who don't necessarily have the same ideas I have. So I believe that it would be a challenge. I do hope that we could agree on improving things, and I know most of us are pretty much like-minded in that we want the safety of the children to be first, and we want the curriculum to be the best. And so I think that we could come to an agreement on some of that. But as for like issues like the LGBTQ guide, I know that that's something that I would be totally outvoted on. I know that.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of coming together and being in agreement.
Okay. And another question, how can African American families trust that you will be a reliable source for them?
Because I don't put preference on color. I don't put preference on race. You are a human being who deserves just as much as respect as I do or you do, and you're just as valuable as anybody else. I don't believe in putting one person because of their color above another person. And everyone is in need. Everyone has their challenges and their crosses to bear. And I believe everyone needs the same support. So there's inside, we are still flesh and bone. There's no color about us.
Okay. And then my last question to you is, who are the top 5 people that you depend on? Once in office, who's going to be important for you while you're in office?
Who I would get advice from?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, first of all, God.
Mm-hmm.
That's my first source. And I have my friend who is a teacher, and she has a lot of good advice, a lot of suggestions, and she's very good at steering and saying, "Hey, this is a problem. This needs to be done." My husband is a very good source, very good thinker, and comes up with ideas that are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the other school board members, because they have a lot of experience and with school board. And my experience is in administration and with guardian ad litem, but they have the school board experience, and I would definitely look at them, and I would not, whether we agree or not, I would never put their experience or their opinions on the back burner.
Nice. Thank you so much. Now, I heard you say guardian earlier, and you just mentioned guardian ad litem. Are you a guardian ad litem?
I used to be. I was a
Oh,
guardian ad litem for about, I was guardian ad litem for about 5 years, and I took a break and came back for a year or two.
mhm.
And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting the kids. I came to a place where I had my grandmother living with me, and I had to stop and take care of her. And it was a very rewarding and very rich experience.
Okay. And your current full-time job, what industry are you in?
Insurance. I work for an insurance company.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So I'll yield this time to you to to be able to give an appeal to the community, tell them who you are, the position you're running for, and why you feel that you are the best candidate in this race for that position. Um, just one second.
Thank you.
Yeah. 30 seconds to you. Take it away.
Thank you. Uh, Susan Hodges, obviously, and my husband and I have been here for 15 years. We've been married for 31 years. We have a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old that will be entering Leon County schools in a few years. And I want to get ahead of the curve, and just make the school system better. And in doing so, I hope that I can make it better for your children also. And I want to devote myself to making the curriculum better, to making security better, to make sure that your children are completely safe. And I want to bring God back into the schools. I believe that that's very important. I want to be able to say Pledge of Allegiance and without feeling like there's a limit to it. I, I do stand on the Word of God, and I hope that together we can invite Him back. I believe that's very important. I believe we are missing that in our schools. And if you are interested in coming and meeting me and my family, we will be having a meet and greet tomorrow at Rankin Tacos on Monroe if you want to come and see us in person.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. I'm so happy that you took the time to be here today. Ms. Hodges, I wish you well. I wish you the best of luck, I hope, and best of blessings. Regardless, I always like to encourage our candidates to remember, regardless of what happened in this election, that the fact that you took the time to go out for the running goes to show that you have a heart for serving. And I hope that it doesn't stop here, whether, you get elected or if you if it happens to be that you do not, that you still continue to look to serve the community, because our community definitely need people who has a heart to serve. And I highly encourage that you'll continue to do so. I wish you well and your family, and great success at your event tomorrow. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. And I want to say thank you for allowing me to participate. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
All right, guys. So that wraps up day 2. We had the opportunity to talk to the House representatives and the school board superintendent. I kind of want to take it back a little bit, because I feel like our conversations with those running, I'm just really trying to prevent it from being redundant from what we are hearing in all our and the other candidate races. So I'm going to take it to the drawing board. Tomorrow, we're going to be interviewing the judges running for seat 2, which is Mario Theodore, and we're going to be interviewing Judge Jason Jones. Jason Jones. Oh, that's a tongue twister. Judge Jason Jones. He is the current incumbent, and Mario Theodore is running for his seat. Curiously, seat 2 was also available this year, but Mario Theodore, he decided to run for Jason Jones' seat. So I'm very curious to know as to why he made that decision. But I want to turn the heat up a little bit. So I'm going to work on that. Y'all, thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting and watching thus far. And if you have any suggestions, please let me know. I also want to remind you guys that on August 12th, we're going to be having a meet and mingle in person. It's going to be a professional networking event. And our goal is really just to create a safe space, a fun space for professionals to come and spend time with other professionals. So if you can make it, we would love for you to be there. And so here is the flyer for it. Please, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to visit our website. It is buildingstrongcommunities.net. We're asking for businesses if they want to get their name out there. We're going to have a giveaway, and so we would like for we would be more than happy to share your products with the community. But it's going to be fun. We're going to have all type of interactive events going on, as well as we will have those candidates running for office there. So if there's questions that you may not have asked during these chats or may have forgot during the interview, that would be a great time to do it. So we're looking forward to meeting you guys and hanging out with you guys at the new hangout spot for professionals, the Signature Lounge on Orange Avenue, on the corner of Orange and Monroe. That's the new hangout spot for professionals. And so we look forward to meeting you and seeing you. I hope you're having a wonderful night. And last but not least, I want to give you guys another verbal vitamin. For those that missed it, verbal vitamins are just an encouraging word for you to just kind of be motivated in your day-to-day lives to have healthy minds. Mental health is definitely big and important in this generation. So the verbal vitamin for today is be strong and go out there, be confident. All these 3 things combined. Why this is important to remember is because we live in a society where people are singled out. And if they don't look like what is approved online, they don't think that they can go out there. They don't think they're equipped to just get out there and go. And so we want you guys to know that it doesn't matter what you look like. It has everything to do with what you bring. The work that has to be done in our communities is not by what you look like, but it's about what you're delivering. So just get out there and keep going. Don't look back. We highly encourage it. That's the community builder mindset. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the show this evening. And remember to come back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your girl, RJ Joseph. Happy to be here. Wishing you well. Have a good night.